What's up you guys, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Thankfully my dorm in university was not haunted. I had a pretty big dorm and the people on my floor were sick, so I feel like I was low-key blessed. But that was also the first time I had to use a communal co-ed bathroom, and I honestly saw some things I can never unsee. Anyway, enough of my horror stories. These are the top 10 scary haunted dorm stories. Starting us off at number 10 is The Woman. This one was shared by Amelia Danielle, who said she was sure she lived in a haunted dorm room during her freshman year. She had no roommate and lived on the 5th floor, yet she would always hear knocking on her window in the middle of the night. And I can tell you it wasn't Romeo throwing stones. No, it was Chad from Delta Epsilon trying to smash. Anyway, one night she was doing some homework when the lights in her room just went out. She went out into the hall to see that the lights were fine over there, so confused she just went back into her room. In there she saw a woman with no face just sitting on her bed. Her clothes were torn, she was covered in blood, and naturally Amelia screamed. She ran to her door to open it, but it wouldn't open, and then 3 people ran to her room to open it from the other side to see if she was okay. As soon as the door opened, the lights came back on in her room and the woman was gone. Amelia moved out the next week, and I don't blame the girl. She moved in the frat house with Chad. Coming in at number 9 is The Grabbing. This one was shared by Redditor Abby M4, who said during her freshman year she lived in the oldest residence hall on her campus. Now I didn't live in the oldest one on my campus, but I did live in the warmest building on campus, which is great for Canada. So Abby's residence used to be a hospital for people suffering from influenza, and a lot of people had died there as well. The morgue was located in the basement of the residence, and when there is death, there are ghosts. The morgue was located in the basement of the residence, and where there is death, there are ghosts, people. That's like rule number 1. One night the user was trying to sleep when she heard her door open and close by itself despite not having a roommate and having locked the door before she slept. She tried to convince herself she was just imagining things, but seconds later something grabbed her leg. Her eyes flew open and she saw this dark thing floating by her feet, and it dead looked like the top half of a body. She quickly turned the lamp on, and obviously by the time she did, that thing was gone. No. At number 8 we have 5 a.m. So this one was shared by Epicurus1205 on Reddit, and she shared that she went to a boarding school and shared a dorm with one of her close friends. One day she woke up in bed at around 5 a.m. to find her roommate getting ready for school. She was already in her uniform and all, because boarding schools usually have uniforms. Even I had an uniform and I didn't go to boarding school. Either way, the user asked her roommate if she could borrow one of her uniforms, and she nodded and showed her where it was in her closet. She said thank you, and the roommate smiled, waved and left, and the user then went back to sleep for another 30 minutes, because you know we have to get all the minutes we can get. Even those 2 minutes count. In the morning, whew, always count. Either way, when she finally did wake up on the top bunk, she got down to get ready and looked over and saw her roommate fast asleep in the bunk below her. She'd never woken up, she was never in her uniform, so if that was her roommate in bed, who the hell was in her room at 5 a.m? The ghost of students past? Come on. Filling at number 7 slot is The Accidental Fire, and this one was shared by Deanna, who's going to graduate from the College of Charleston this year. Congratulations B, you're killing it. Stayed in school, paid off, you graduated. Either way, she said that the dorm she lived in during her freshman year was actually built on the ruins of an orphanage that had burned down in an accidental fire decades prior. 4 kids died during the fire, and students past and present have shared that they haunt the halls of Berry Residence Hall. And it was evident there were always false alarms being rung. Deanna would hear the sound of rolling marbles on the floor and kids laughing. But the scariest thing she heard was someone walking above her in what sounded like high heels. And that's really not that scary or weird if you think about it, but she lived on the 6th floor and there was no floor above her. Make it make sense to me. Now at number 6 is The Voice. So this one was shared on Reddit by Amanda F42, and she said that when she moved into her dorm during freshman year, she had a bunch of rumors that her room was haunted but didn't think anything of it. Nothing had happened for her to think so, and she just thought it was fear mongering for a freshman. But one morning she was sitting in bed in no mood to go to class at all, and so just talking to herself out loud, she said, I think I deserve to stay in bed today. Don't we all? Don't we all? And in clear HD quality, as if the voice was right next to her, she heard a male voice say, just stay. And keep in mind she was on an all-girls floor, and she ran out of the room to check the hallway, no one there. Checked outside the window, no one there. Safe to say she did not stay in that room much longer. Honestly, if you're gonna get haunted by a ghost, I'd rather a ghost like that that's like, take a self-care day, don't go to class, stay at home. Actually no, because then I would listen to that ghost way too much and then end up just never going to class. And then that just becomes a vicious cycle, you know? One day you miss class, and then it's like, okay, fine, I'll miss tomorrow. That happened to me for a week, and I was like, aim and get it together. Coming in at number 5 is Moaning Myrtle, and Harry Potter fans will soon see why I named this one what I did. This one was shared by Mackenzie, who graduated from the University of Rhode Island back in 2018. She shared that years before she was a freshman, another freshman student had hung herself in the top floor bathroom, and so students that came after her always felt her presence in that bathroom. Every time any girl went in there, they felt this immense presence just watching them, and at times she'd just turn the lights off and start talking to them and then appear in the mirror right next to them, and then obviously by the time the lights came back on, she had disappeared. And if you haven't seen Harry Potter, Moaning Myrtle was the ghost of a girl called Myrtle who was killed by the basilisk in the bathroom, and so her ghost is always just in there bothering people. Gotta love Moaning Myrtle. She's annoying, but we love her. She's that one kid, you know? It's like, I want to hate you, but I can't. At number 4 is the trash lid. This one comes from Redditor 045, who said his dorm was right next to the campus theatre. As someone who did drama in uni, I was literally always at the campus theatre. That's where you'd find me. Anyway, rumour had it that a guy had hung himself in the theatre 20 years prior and never stopped haunting it after that. The dorm's doors and windows would constantly open or lock on their own, but the worst incident happened to the user's dorm neighbour. She was just sitting in her room one night and heard the lid of the trash can outside hit the wall repeatedly. At first she was like, is there a drunk person outside? A homeless person on drugs outside? Like, what's going on? She looked out the window and saw no one there. Every time she got up to go to the window, the noise would just stop, so she was like, screw this, I'm gonna investigate. The next time she heard it, she went outside and the lid just dropped to the floor, from being mid-air to just dropping to the floor. This happened 4 more times before she had a full-blown panic attack, and honestly, I don't blame her. It would have taken me 2 times for me to have a panic attack personally. Filling our number 3 slot is The Opening. This one was shared by Redditor Yingnan, I don't know if I said that right, but who said that this story happened to their friend. During the 2nd semester of freshman year, an opening at an on-campus house had become available, and so he moved in. The user would always be there all the time, and weird things would happen. Kitchen drawers would just get flung open, curtains would flutter when the air was dry as hell, and every other day the other 2 roommates would wake up at 3 AM because of a random camera flash in their room, when there was 100% no one else in their room, and they were sure their doors were locked, so who could have even gone into either of their rooms and taken a picture? Either way, it turns out an upper year student had lived in the room before the user's friend, but he had committed suicide in the 1st semester, and that's why the opening became available to begin with, and I guess the spirit of the student just never left. This kind of hits home for me because I feel like I went to U of T and there's literally, I want to say, at least 5 students committing suicide every year on our campus, and it's absolutely horrible. School, the system, it's failing us all. Now at number 2 is the Mimicker. This one was shared by Reddit user Pawn Capricorn, who said she lived in a 70-year-old Catholic all-girls school dorm. One day her friend Ellie was walking down the corridor and she saw her friend Katie come out of the bathroom. Now she was 100% sure it was Katie, and she'd already started walking away, so Ellie didn't even bother catching up to her. Well, later that day, Ellie finds out that Katie's at home with her parents for the week and hasn't been at the dorm for 3 days, and this wasn't even a rare occurrence. Apparently there's a spirit that lives in the school that loves mimicking people who live there just to mess with people. Imagine a ghost that can transform itself to look exactly like people around you, like who are your friends. How would you even know one day if you were talking to the ghost or your actual friend? Like, Katie, is it you? Or is it not you? Can I put my hand through you or not? That's a test. If I put my hand through you, you're not Katie. Imposter. And finally, at number 1 is Jenny. This one was shared by Leah, who said during her freshman year, she lived at the sorority house on campus, and there was a legend about a girl called Jenny within that house. Apparently, Jenny was a child who had died in the house before it was bought by the college and turned into a sorority. The girls in the house had a ton of stories involving Jenny. They'd wake up screaming with scratches all over them, furniture would constantly be moved out of place, and it was just a lot to deal with. During Leah's first night there, she was in bed talking to her roommate, and all of a sudden the 2 heard a massive crash. They both ran to the bathroom to find all the toiletries on their shelves thrown all over the bathroom. Lipstick was smeared on the mirror, the shower water was running, and none of it made sense because no one else used that bathroom but them 2. It was like their designated bathroom. And okay, humor me, say a gust of wind just came through the bathroom window and knocked the toiletries over. It would have been strong enough to somehow carry the lipstick to the mirror, open it, smear it, and then let it drop to the ground. Like, wind is not that strong, people. And that's it for today's video, guys. I love school-related videos. I feel like that's a nerd in me just jumping out. I'm so glad I didn't have to go through any of this, honestly. Although I did used to get scared of shadows in my own room sometimes, but that's because I was on the 3rd floor and there were just so many trees outside my window and they would all just be making creepy shadows. Anyway, let me know what you thought below. Let me know if you guys want a part 2. As always, I'm your host, Eamon Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!